Why did Damon tell the children to move before Dracarys? House of the Dragon Season 3 Episode 8 explained. Spoiler warning. This video contains major spoilers for House of the Dragon Season 3 Episode 8, including the Battle of Tumbleton, Daemon Targaryen, the Winter Wolves, and the brutal attack on the town's gates. If you haven't watched the Season 3 finale yet, this is your warning. One of the most disturbing moments in the House of the Dragon Season 3 finale happens during Daemon Targaryen's attack on Tumbleton. Daemon approaches the gate, but there is a group of children standing directly in front of it. They aren't simply random children who happen to be nearby. They are positioned at the gate while the fighting is happening, effectively becoming a human shield that makes it much harder for the attacking black forces to break through. Damon looks at them and tells them to move, and when they don't clear the way, Damon gives the command. Dracarys. Dragonfire follows. So why did Damon tell the children to move? And why did he then order the dragon to attack anyway? The answer becomes much clearer when you understand what is happening at the gate. The Black Army has reached Tumbleton. The Winter Wolves, led by Roderick Dustin, are attacking the town. But the defenders are holding the gates. The blacks need to break through. And Damon knows that Caraxes can do something no ordinary soldier can. A dragon can destroy the defenses in seconds. But there is a problem. The children are directly in the way. They are positioned at the gate, and their presence makes the attack much more complicated. Damon doesn't want to waste time trying to fight his way through the gate while the battle continues around him. So he gives them a simple command. Move. Get out of the way. Clear the gate. But the children don't move quickly enough, and Damon makes his decision. Dracarys. This is an important distinction. Damon isn't simply looking at a group of innocent children and deciding that he wants to burn them. His immediate objective is the gate. The children are physically standing between his forces and the defenses. They are effectively being used to protect the gate from the attackers. And Damon is unwilling to allow that to stop the assault. That makes the scene much darker, because Damon understands exactly what dragonfire does. He knows Caraxes won't carefully burn only the gate. Dragonfire is uncontrollable once it is unleashed. Anyone standing too close is in danger. But Damon has reached a point in the war where military victory takes priority. He has been ordered to take Tumbleton. The Black Army needs to break into the town. And Damon sees the gate as an obstacle that has to be removed. The children are therefore given a final opportunity to move. But when that opportunity is not taken, Damon orders the attack. This moment also tells us a lot about Damon's character. Earlier in the story, Damon was already known for being ruthless. He was willing to use violence to get what he wanted. But after everything that has happened at Harrenhal, his character has become more complicated. Damon has seen visions of the future. He has confronted his past, and he has finally accepted the role he needs to play in the war. But accepting his responsibility doesn't make him less dangerous. In fact, it makes him more decisive. Damon is no longer hesitating about whether the blacks should fight. He believes they have to win. And Tumbleton is where that determination becomes brutal. The gate has to fall. And Damon has a dragon, so he uses it. This is also why the children are so important to the scene. They show the difference between a normal battlefield and a dragon battlefield. A normal soldier can choose who he attacks. A sword can be aimed at one person. An arrow can be fired at a specific target. But a dragon is different. Once Caraxes unleashes fire, everyone in front of him is potentially in danger. There is no guarantee that only the enemy soldiers will be killed. And that's exactly what makes dragons so terrifying. Damon knows this, yet he still gives the command. Because from his perspective, the gate has to be destroyed. The children being there doesn't change the military objective. It simply makes the decision more horrifying. And this is one of the central themes of the Dance of the Dragons. The Targaryens have dragons. They believe dragons give them the power to win wars. But the dragons also make those wars far more destructive. When Damon says Dracarys, he isn't simply ordering a soldier to attack. He is unleashing one of the most destructive weapons in Westeros. And Tumbleton is about to demonstrate exactly what happens when that power is used in a crowded town. But there is another reason the scene matters. Daemon isn't the only person using dragons in an increasingly brutal way. Ulf the White eventually turns Silverwing against the battlefield. Hugh Hammer becomes increasingly violent. Dragon riders begin acting independently, and the distinction between the blacks and greens starts collapsing. Tumbleton becomes a place where everyone is in danger. Soldiers, commanders, civilians, and even the people who thought they controlled the dragons. This is why Daemon's decision at the gate is important. It shows that the war has crossed another line. The objective is no longer simply to defeat the enemy army. The entire town has become part of the battlefield. And once that happens, innocent people become unavoidable casualties. Daemon doesn't necessarily want the children to die. That's why he tells them to move. But he also isn't willing to stop the attack because they are there. That distinction is crucial. He gives them a chance, but he does not give up the objective. This is very different from saying that Daemon was simply being compassionate. The command to move is practical. The children are blocking the gate. The black forces need to get through, and Daemon wants the obstruction removed. It's a military decision, but it's also a morally disturbing one, because Daemon knows exactly what could happen if they don't move, and he proceeds anyway. This is one of the reasons Daemon remains such a complicated character. He isn't someone who fits neatly into the category of hero or villain. He can love his family. He can protect people he cares about. He can show hesitation around innocent victims. But when he believes victory requires violence, he can be absolutely ruthless. At Tumbleton, that ruthlessness takes control. And there is another important detail. Daemon isn't fighting a small skirmish. The entire Black Army is trying to break through. The Winter Wolves are already suffering heavy casualties. Roderick Dustin is pushing his men forward. The Green Defenders are desperately trying to hold their position, and every second matters. If the gates remain closed, the Black forces are delayed. That gives the Defenders more time, and it gives the Green Dragon Riders more opportunities to counterattack. Daemon, therefore, has a very simple military calculation. Break the gate, get the army inside, keep moving. The children complicate that calculation, but they don't change it. So when Daemon says move, it is essentially a final warning. He is giving them a chance to clear the attack zone. When they don't, he chooses to proceed. And that is why the scene feels so brutal, because the viewer knows exactly what Daemon is about to do, and the children are still standing there. This also makes the scene a good example of how the show portrays the Winter Wolves. Roderick Dustin and his northern soldiers are fighting at ground level. They have to physically break through the defenses. They have to fight soldiers face to face. Daemon has a completely different weapon. He can attack from above. One command from him can accomplish what hundreds of soldiers might struggle to do. That is the terrifying advantage of a dragon, and it explains why Daemon is so important to Rhaenyra's war effort. When he arrives at Tumbleton with Caraxes, the balance of power changes immediately. The gate may be strong, the soldiers may be determined, but a dragon can destroy both. The problem is that the dragon doesn't distinguish between a soldier and a civilian. That's the price of using overwhelming force. And the children at the gate make that price impossible to ignore. So, did Daemon deliberately target the children? The scene is better understood as Daemon targeting the gate and the defenders after first telling the children to move out of the way. The children are caught in a position where they are protecting or obstructing the gate. Damon wants them gone before he attacks. When they remain in place, he doesn't allow them to stop the assault. That doesn't make his decision heroic. It makes it ruthless. And that is exactly how Damon is portrayed during the Tumbleton assault. He is focused on winning. He has accepted that the war will be bloody, and he is willing to use Caraxes to achieve his objective. The scene also foreshadows what happens later in Tumbleton. Once the dragon riders begin using their dragons against the town, the battle becomes almost impossible to control. Ulf's betrayal makes everything worse. Silverwing attacks. The green and black forces are devastated. Ormond Hightower dies, Roderick Dustin dies, and Tumbleton itself becomes a symbol of the destruction caused by the dance. The children at the gate, therefore, represent something much bigger. They are the innocent people caught between two armies. They aren't deciding who should sit on the Iron Throne. They aren't fighting for Rhaenyra. They aren't fighting for Aegon. They are simply trapped in a war created by the Targaryens. And Daemon's decision shows how little room innocence has once dragons enter the battlefield. He gives them a warning, but he doesn't stop. And that is what makes the moment so disturbing. So why did Daemon tell the children to move before saying Dracarys? Because they were standing directly in front of the gate during the Black Assault on Tumbleton. Their position was obstructing the attack and effectively allowing the defenders to use them as a human shield. Daemon wanted the children to clear the area so his forces could break through. When they didn't move, he chose to use Caraxes to destroy the obstruction and attack the gate. The command was therefore primarily tactical. It wasn't simply Daemon showing mercy, and it wasn't necessarily Daemon deliberately deciding to burn innocent children. It was Daemon making a brutal battlefield decision. He gave them a chance to move. Then he prioritized the attack. And that tells us exactly how far the Dance of the Dragons has pushed him. The war has become more important than hesitation. Victory has become more important than mercy. And dragons have become weapons that can destroy everything standing in their path. That's why this tiny moment at the gate is actually so important. It shows the transformation of Daemon from a reckless warrior into a hardened commander who understands exactly what his dragon can do and is willing to use that power when the battle demands it. But it also shows the terrible price of that decision. Because once Daemon says Dracarys, there is no taking it back. The fire doesn't care who is innocent. It doesn't care who is guilty. It simply burns. And that is the true horror of the Dance of the Dragons. So what do you think? Were the children deliberately being used as human shields at the gate? Did Daemon give them a genuine chance to escape? Or should he have stopped the attack completely when he saw them? And do you think this scene shows how much more ruthless Daemon has become by the end of Season 3? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this House of the Dragon Season 3 Episode 8 breakdown, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more spoilers, character explanations, battle breakdowns, and theories. The Battle of Tumbleton may be over, but the consequences of Daemon's decisions are only beginning.